So this is about re-spoking a wheel. So I've removed the tyre already. Typically I won't reuse the tyre, mainly because they're typically quite old and starting to perish, but in this case, rather oddly, it looks really quite new. The things that will change obviously is the bearings and the protective tape that goes on the rim. And I'll replace the inner tube as well. Now, you have a choice between rechroming the rim or replacing the rim, and I've never had a rim I could justify rechroming. I'm sure that there are some, I just haven't found them. It's quite expensive to have them chromed because they're quite difficult. And the other thing as well is that when they put the chrome on, the holes for the spokes can get closed. Okay, so you end up having to drill them or file them out, and I have had that on a new rim. Came from a well-known Honda parts supplier. It was a real pain. I had to open each hole up, and the problem is, of course, is that you're penetrating the chrome, and that then is going to bring on corrosion. I did try to point this out, but unfortunately, as normal with this company, they just come back with, we sell hundreds of these, never had a complaint, which is clearly nonsense. I don't understand that approach, which is why I tend not to buy from them anymore. Not because they're particularly expensive or the part on good quality. It's just that when you get to that level of customer service, if you do have a major problem, then you've got to be in trouble. So that's why I don't use them. So yeah, so I'm going to replace the rim, going to replace the spokes. Right, so there is a tool I use for this to help me do this. So this monstrosity is it. It's the tool that helps me do this. So what we have is, it's just a couple of pieces of C-channel iron with some, what are they? They look like a box section uprights and a couple of angle iron supports. And then onto these I can fit, you just put rods of different sizes to match the bearing size, the internal bearing size on the wheel. So I have varying sizes of shaft, and these match the varying internal bores of the bearings. And if you saw the video I did about ball bearings, you see that these are actually standard sizes, so you can, with just a few in number of these shafts, you can get to quite a large number of these bearings. So that's it mounted. There's just a couple of clamps that clamp the rod in place, and I just use these. You don't really need them, but I just use these to stop the wheel from moving up and down. These become a little bit more important when you're starting to true the bearing, true the wheel. Okay, so that's a magnetic base, and then one of these to clamp on. The goal is to obviously get the spokes out. As I say, I'll renew the bearings, but I won't do that until I've actually got it apart. And what I'll do as well it's apart, is actually polish the inner hull. So you do get spoke spanners. The ones I've bought are always too big. I'm not sure what they're supposed to fit, but they don't fit any bike I've ever worked on. So I bought a set of these from eBay. It's about £3-4 or something. Really cheap, really poor quality spanners. You wouldn't use them for anything else, but they're ideal for this. They go all the way down to, I think it's 3mm, so ideal. The other thing as well is, I should have mentioned about how much it costs to build one of these things, and I would suggest to you it's around about 20 quid's worth of materials, would be much more than that, and it probably took me let's say 2 hours to make, mainly because of the really crappy welding. And it's painted silver because obviously I had silver paint left over from something else, and I thought, I'll tell you what. Right, so anyway, so we'll start taking the spokes out. You can check it for true, but as I'm not going to reuse the rim, it's really good quality. Wow. It's like everything on this bike really heavily engineered. Yeah, see the wall thickness on there? Wow. I mean, it's pressed, don't get me wrong, it's curved over and then rolled. But even then, wow. Anyway, right, so we'll get the spokes off. To get the spokes off, as I said, you can use a spanner, or they do have slots. These have slots. Some of them have Allen key holes to use. I'll be honest with you, some of them can be quite tight, and it's quite difficult to get them off. And I have used all sorts of things. The worst I've ever had was when I had to cut the spokes because it just physically couldn't get them off. This one should be quite an easy one to do because there's only 2 different spoke designs. Don't forget to photograph the spoke designs, by the way, before you start taking it apart, which I've already done. The most complex one I did was one I took to the place that kind of removes and puts the tyres back on, or puts the tyres back on. And when I brought it out, they said, "Oh, who did it? It's like a work of art." And that one, I'm not surprised they like that one, because that one had 4 different types of spoke, and the interlacing of the spokes was just horrendous. It took so long to do. This one shouldn't take too long at all. There's very few spokes, and the interleaving appears to be really quite simple. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So there shouldn't be any problem with this one. So spoke goes forward, opposite, spoke. So outside spoke forward, opposite, outside spoke backward. Next one, inside spoke backward, opposite, inside spoke forward. I guess you could have the spokes re-chromed, but I don't think that would be so expensive. Right. What I'll do is I'll just do the easy ones first, and sometimes that takes enough pressure off the harder ones so that they come off easy. Don't knacker your spanners, just trying to get them off. And as I say, if the worst comes to the worst, just if you're not reusing the spokes, then just as always, I'm showing you how I do wheels. That's not to say it's the best method. It's not to say it's how a professional would do them. Okay, but it just gives you an idea. So if somebody says that's not how you do them, you should do it this way, then you should really have a good listen to that, because he may well be correct. Right, you get the idea. I'll carry on and then I'll start recording again once all it's despoked. So that's it, despoked. So on this one you've got 2 different sizes and shapes of spokes. Okay, so they're both pretty much the same length, but if you look at the heads, if you see this one is longer and at 90 degrees, this one is shorter and has an angle to it, yeah, probably about 110 degrees, something like that. So now's a good time to see what you've actually been sent in terms of replacement. This is the pack. So this is rear wheel, front wheel. So these should be the same as this. And if you see, that one looks awfully close to that one, and that one looks awfully close to that one. So there should be 18 of each, which I'm sure there will be. So that's, as I say, you know, it's really important to check these things. I have had them from a set sent from CMSNL, whose customer service is just absolutely superb. I really didn't want to mess them about, because the ones that they sent, for whatever reason, were a little bit too long, so you couldn't tighten them up. And what I said to them, I says, if you can give me the thread size, I'll thread them. I'll get a die and thread them. And I'll be honest with you, to this day I have no idea what that thread size is. none whatsoever, but they pretty much all seem to be the same. I rather suspect that the thread's manufactured rather than cut. I just don't know. But yeah, so we're good. As I say, what we'll do now is I'll just take all these bits off it, put this rim to one side. Most likely I'm going to bin it, and then I'm going to clean up and polish the hub, change the bearings. So once I've done that, we'll put it back on the this thing and we'll start respooking. So that's all the spokes off. One thing I should have mentioned when I started is that if you're going to keep the rim, then you don't take the spokes off in the way I took them off. Okay, so I just kind of went round sequentially. What you would do is you'd actually go opposites, and the reason for that is so that you don't overstress one part of the rim and take it out of true. I have had brand new rims come which were quite significantly out of true, and you can pull them back into round using pressure from the spokes. Okay, it's not ideal. You can do it though. So that's a hub cleaned up, and we can start lacing the wheels again. So everybody's got a different way of doing it. I've got my way. I tend to do it loosely on the bench first of all until it's reasonably together, and then I put it up on the into the jig. I don't have the internal bearings yet, so I can't do the final tightening. So if you remember, we've got the two different types. The one with the 90 degree goes on, let's remember this right, I think it goes on the inside, and this one goes on the outside. So we'll give it a try and see if that fits. As it starts to stiffen, it becomes more difficult to get these ones in, so I'll transfer it onto the jig now. Every now and again you'll see me doing this, and why I'm doing that is to make sure I've got these the right way round, because I have done it before where I've put the wrong one on the wrong side, and you end up, it's really easy to see, it just pulls the thing over to one side. So all you got to do then is just, unfortunately, take a bit of time, but you just unlace it and then do it the right way around. I mean, you can see it's really quick. The other thing I'm doing is counting the holes. So you see that one's in there, and I know it's 4 holes to where this one goes in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes in there. And just roll it up to the top, just to give you a bit of fair play to get it on. This wheel as well had counterweights on it, which is quite unusual, I'll be honest with you. I think it's because they're such large diameter and quite heavy wheels, but I don't know what I've done with them. But they're like lead weights that you kind of put on, and they just clamp on, and it was free in one area. So at the moment I don't know what to do about that, but what other thing? The other thing I have done as well is used an odd one in the wrong place. So instead of using the 90 degree, I've used the other one, and the only way to get around that, and I always double check that I haven't done that, because I count how many left of each type, and if I've got one more of one type, I know I've made the cock up, and I'll just go back and find out which one it is. It's quite easy to find. You know, as I keep saying, I'm not an expert at this. So when we turn it round, when we do the other side, we're opposite hand to this one. Okay. So whereas this one's going this direction, on the other side it'll actually go that direction. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going out of shot. As I say, on this side, if it goes in this direction, it's opposite hand on the other one, so this hole will actually go in that direction. Okay. This is quite difficult to clean, this, because it's been lacquered, which isn't unusual. I can understand why people do it. They lacquer it because they polish it and they want to keep the polish, so they put lacquer on it, and it does work, but the problem comes when the lacquer degrades. So in UV light of that, it'll start to yellow and can't look quite bad. So I've had to take that lacquer off, but I've just seen there's just a little bit more left there. One of the things you may have to do, and I think I'm probably going to have to do here, is unlace to get this side in. So you put this one in, and you may have to unlace on this side, right? So you can physically get in, because otherwise it bangs. Okay, we'll have a look, but I rather suspect that's what I'm going to have to do. In fact, I can already see I am. See, I can't quite get it there. So, easiest thing to do. Take that one out. So I'm going to have to do that one as well. I'm sure there's an easy way of doing this, but I'll be honest with you, this is how I've had to do it every single time. So that one's going up, so this one must come down. So it must go in this one here. So I'll put them back in, but one of these will probably have to come off again. I can't remember. And if this looks awkward, when I did that wheel, which I mentioned had 4 different ones, 4 different sizes, oh my god, it was like 1 step forward, 10 steps back. And it took a while, but you got there in the end. Where's the extra one? So this one should be going forward. So it must go in that one there. So this one. Go through there. That one goes that way, so this one must go this way. Must go this way there. I'll just carry on, so you can see there's a bit of to and fro in. Just square it on. Yeah. So I'll start video again when it's finished and have a chat to it, unless I find any problems, and then I'll restart the video. But we'll have a look at it when it's done. So that's it all laced. We did have some extras, just nice, very nice of them. The next thing I do is to tighten these as evenly as I can, but not tension them, okay? Because if you tension them too early, you can end up distorting the wheel. So I'll just take them up, you know, so they're all approximately the same position, and then I'll wait for the bearings to come before I true it up. Right, I'm going to stop the video at that point because it could be a week or so before the stuff arrives. If you want me to show you truing it up, if you just put a comment in, and I'll just do another quick video showing me doing that final tightening and good stuff like that. Alright, that's it.